Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and I'm glad to bring to you your 5.4 guide. For the final time in Mr. Pandaria, we'll be looking at the Affliction Warlock. The big badass, yeah, the one everybody avoids. Demonology, so fun. Destruction, so fun. A lot of work going into Affliction, and we just don't like it. There's too much to do. Not so at all. Affliction is one of the most fun specs going at the moment. I actually find it the most interesting. It has a little bit more involvement from the player to pull off good results. Not quite as relaxed as the other ones in terms of putting out good numbers. But once you master it, you actually become better at other classes, in my opinion. We're going to go through the basics, which is just how to gear it up and get it ready. And then I'm going to show you generally the basics of how to play this thing so you can have some good times with it. Alright, so first things first, your talents. Again, it comes down to what the boss demands, alright? The boss will demand different things from you, so you can take bits and pieces of what I tell you and then make it. Just bear in mind that whatever the boss is doing might actually change what you're doing. Do you need Shadow Fury? Do you need that CC? Do you need to spread out the damage you take with your pet? All kinds of things like that you need to think about. Blood Horror, Burning Rush is always coming in handy, as is Unbound Will. Again, if the boss is going to do something to you which requires one of these talents, then you should be swapping it. Keep packing your tomes with a clear mind. Grammar of Supremacy is kind of one of the mandatory ones. You want to be using your Observer, you want to turn your Fell Hunter into that Observer, you're going to get a ton of DPS out of him. And also bear in mind that the special ability of your Fell Hunter, a lot of people forget this, is actually the ability to interrupt with Optic Blast. Very cool, alright? Very cool, make sure you're using it. Level 90, a lot of debate. Straight up, flat out numbers say Archimonde's Darkness. The Darkness of Archimonde amongst you will give your Dark Soul an extra charge, and therefore you do more damage. I've been trying them both for the last few hours. I really have been bashing my head against various different raid instances. I just can't roll without Killjaden's Cunning. I get so much more DPS out of the fact that I can move and cast that I just don't get that extra benefit from Archimonde's Darkness. Every single fight in the Siege of Orgrimmar requires some movement of some kind. Killjaden's Cunning allows me to rock and roll with that all day long, and that's why I like it. For your Glyphs, the real mandatory one is going to be Unstable Affliction. I've said this in other videos, Warlock Glyphs just fucking suck. No other way to say it, guys. They're so fucking boring. You are going to be casting Unstable Affliction. The quicker it casts, the quicker you can get back to casting other things. That's about it, right? Nothing more, nothing less. And then Eternal Resolve is one of those things that sometimes you're going to need it, sometimes not. It's a really boring glyph. I like having Shield Wall sometimes, but then again, sometimes I just like taking 10% less damage. Pretty cool. I kind of want to give a bit of a shout out to Glyph of Soulstone here. It doesn't get enough mention. Every now and again, we're going to be asked to do that res. You're in a 10-man, you might be the only reser. You might be in a 25-man, and your other resers are druids and therefore AFK. And quite frankly, when you drop a soulstone on somebody, sometimes you do it, they're going to get rezzed, and then suddenly a big burning flame of death appears beneath you. You move out of the way. A lack of communication can cause a guy to res into a situation where he's about to die. We've all seen it. Combat res me! You res and he instantly dies. That Glyph of Soulstone is actually going to be the one that saves that guy's health. So just bear in mind that it's actually pretty important if you're part of a raiding team. For your stats, pretty easy, guys. For a long time, I haven't really made a good mention of hit rating. I want to get back into the habit of doing that. Your hit rating is just vastly the most important thing you can be going for, right? Every time you cast a spell, it has to make contact, especially with Affliction, where we're going to be judging the power of our spells and then deciding when to apply them. Missing? Very, very bad. You're going to go for your hit chance. On top of that, your next most powerful stat is Mastery, but we have to talk about Haste. Currently in Mists of Pandaria, and this is changing for Warlords of Draenor, is certain amounts of haste give us an extra tick of our spells, which means they're doing more bang for their buck every time we cast them. As such, I recommend you get an add-on like Reforge Light. Video on my channel telling you about Reforge Light. When you click your Reforger, you'll get this little window, and if you go down to the presets here, you'll actually see it works out what your haste caps are. So it's either 13,737, we'll call it 14k or 10k, and then you'll click that, and then it'll reforge around it. So you can actually see the priorities here. If you click that, you'll say, Haste, I want it at exactly 9778 or as close as you can get to it. And then I want Mastery. Crit way down at the bottom. This is because In between that 14k and 10k, every little drop of haste that you've got sitting in between there isn't doing much for you because you're not really approaching the point where your dots will get an extra tick. We're obviously a dot-based spec, and mastery is going to be far more valuable in between those two stats and above them, alright, until you can reach that next haste plateau. So you're getting your hit chance, you're getting your haste up to one of those two values, and then you're going to get your mastery up. Don't worry about your crit, just not that important. Alright, just not that important. So, that's your stats. That's how you're going to be gearing. For your gemming, you're going for hit mastery gems, and you're going for expertise mastery, and you're going for pure mastery wherever possible. The reason we're gemming for hit and mastery is because we get a ton of value out of our gems now with our secondary stats. Hopefully that's going to continue into Warlords of Draenor, so get the habit going now. And plus what it does is allow us to reforge away from things like hit and expertise on our gear and pick up extra beneficial stats. So we look at this item, we say we've got a ton of hit, we've got a load of crit, and we've got a load of haste. It's an ideal item. Okay, it's an ideal item. We're not really wasting stats besides that little bit of crit, but you can see here, hit, mastery, haste, wonderful item to pick up, and then we're getting that extra hit and extra mastery and more mastery from our socket bonus. Wonderful stuff. Try and gem wherever possible. If you're not gemming pure mastery, then go for gemming for some hit mastery or expertise mastery. Get as much hit out of your gems as possible without going for pure hit or pure expertise. Now, playstyle. Now I'm going to do something I don't ordinarily do. I'm actually going to unequip my trinkets. I'm going to put them there and that one there. We're a dot spec, which means our dots are super powerful. That's why we buff our mastery. Now in Mist of Pandaria, as we move up the gear levels, we start picking up legendary meta gems, legendary cloaks, we can actually get extraordinary power from our procs. Okay, and procs, if you're not sure what they mean, those are things like when your trinkets activate, when your cloak activates, and when your meta gem, you get this temporary bonus of power. Those are procs. So what we do with our dots is when we cast a dot, the game says, how powerful are you right now? Okay, when you press that unstable affliction button like I'm doing there, how powerful were you at that very moment? So it'll say things like, did you have any trinket procs? Did you have bloodlust? Did you have your meta gem going? Was your cloak in power? If it wasn't, then you're just getting your basic dot. It's pretty shit. Your basic dots at this point are pretty crappy, okay? So you might be thinking from a basic level, it's a dot spec creature. All I have to do is keep my dots on 100% of the time, right? And I even have pandemic, so I can keep those rocking and rolling. Easy. No. Affliction works on the idea of getting the most powerful dots you can active on the target, and then buffing them even further with things like Haunt, okay, and Dark Soul. When you don't have any procs and you don't have Dark Soul, that is your downtime, and all you're going to be doing then is regenerating soul shards for the next time you're in a position to actually get super powerful dots on. So the way we do this is with add-ons. Generally, it's the best way to do it. You can do it in-game as normal. No one's saying you can't. But what I use is a little add-on called Tell Me When, as you can see there. I'm just going to re-equip my trinkets here so I can show you how this works. Slap those trinkets on there. That's going to put them on cooldown. I have three things here. I have Skull Banner. I want to know when Skull Banner's up, okay? Because I want to get the bonus on my dots. I know when my acceleration is procced because I want that bonus on my dots. And Quicken Tongues from... These are trinkets when they are happening. Now, what you'll also see if I hide them is this little counter here. Now, some of you may have thought, hey, that's when your trinkets proc. No, this is the internal cooldown. When a trinket procs, it goes on an internal cooldown, which is generally hidden from the player, and it will not proc while it is on that cooldown. So what you can see here is that this trinket cannot proc for 9 seconds. This one cannot proc for 70 seconds. What this allows me to do, guys, and what you guys should be starting to do, is plan ahead of time. Is this trinket going to proc? So now I can say acceleration is going to proc in the next few seconds. It won't proc immediately, but it's going to proc very, very soon. Which means I've got to get ready and I can start thinking ahead of when my powerful dots go off. So let's show this in action. Let's do that. So as a normal start to a fight, you're going to do things like Haunt, get that in the air, get that travelling as a cast time, you can see, before it actually makes contact. You're probably going to pop Dark Soul. You're going to use Soul Burn, which allows you to use Soul Swap and get your dots on. And then you can see this here. Now those dots aren't benefiting from this trinket at all. In order to get the benefit of this trinket, I have to reapply my dots. Now they're getting the benefit of it, and they will continue to get the benefit of it while I keep these dots on. If I was to recast my dots now, they would be weaker than the dots currently on, because these dots right now are benefiting from that trinket. So as you can see, what's going on here is I don't want to waste shards. Never waste shards, guys. But don't replace dots too early. These are really powerful dots, or more powerful than the ones I can possibly replace them with. So all I'm going to do now is just keep them ticking. And this is the down phase. What I'm looking for here is things like Nightfall procs to regenerate my soul shards. But I can see my Quicken Tongues is due to proc. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it to happen. Hopefully it'll proc shortly and I can show you. And then when that happens, that's when we go balls to the wall. We actually go and pump it. Now I've got both trinkets off cooldown right now. There's one. That's Christmas Eve right there. Can we have a Christmas Day before I have to replace this agony? Yes, both trinkets. Now, these dots are super powerful. We've got haunts ticking on there. Now, even though one trinket has worn off, it doesn't matter because all these dots that are on right now that I soul swapped, soul burned onto there are benefiting from both trinkets. Very powerful dots ticking away right now. And I'm going to get a little refresh just as that Quicken Tongues is about to wear off. And that means that all these dots are benefiting from that Quicken Tongues. This is what you're looking to do with Affliction, guys, is you go into this down phase, like right now. I'm just going to let things tick. So I want my shards to regenerate for when my trinkets and stuff are back on, okay? Just going to go into this down phase, replace that UA, and you can see I'm using these Nightfall procs to rebuild my soul shards because I know right now the dots that I can put on, they're just not as powerful as the ones that are already ticking. I want those powerful dots to tick. Big problems that people have with playing Affliction is they replace their dots too often. They just go, oh, you know, I need to replace it, I need to replace it. Bear in mind what your procs are. You want to be doing it under the effects of procs and more powerful trinkets, and in between time, you're just building shards. You don't want to waste shards, so if you cap your shards, go ahead and fire off a haunt, go ahead and use a soul swap if it's going to help you out, whatever, but just make sure that when it comes to your dots being super powerful, when your trinkets are about to come off cooldown, that you're ready and raring to go with full shards and haunts and fucking shoving your fist right up the boss's ass, and you're going to see some wonderful numbers coming out of Affliction. When it comes to AoE, real easy. We have Soul Burn, Soul Swap, okay? And we know that puts all our dots on the target immediately. So when it comes to 2-3 targets, we're just doing our standard thing. We're going to be sticking our dots on multiple targets, as you can see here. And we're going to use our Malefic Grasp, which of course means our dots tick faster. This is going to allow our Agony to stack up quickly. Notice that Agony stacks up to 10. Letting Agony fall off, guys, is a fucking bummer. Don't let it happen, okay? And in between time, I'm just going to be refreshing my dots nice and easy. I'm still taking note of when I'm under procs, okay? So now I would be Dark Souling and using these trinket props to soul swap everything on. But what I'm waiting for, really, is just going to keep things ticking away. I'm just waiting for things to proc, and then I'm going to soul burn, soul swap them on. It's real simple stuff. Just make sure you're using your Malefic Grasp and spreading it around, okay? Getting all these agonies ticking up to 10 as soon as possible. You want 10 stack agonies ticking on everything, and you want to keep them ticking, okay? Real easy stuff. Real easy stuff. When we get to more targets, this is where fun time happens. So I'm going to let those dots tick off. We use things like Seed of Corruption, okay, our big AoE spell. Now what we want to do is definitely get a Soul Burned Seed of Corruption. Soul Burn, of course, modifying our spells. That means that when this Seed of Corruption detonates, it's going to give Corruption to all the targets. Now, Seed of Corruption, guys, will not detonate on its own very quickly. In fact, it ticks for absolutely shit damage. What you want to do is your target that has the Soul Burn Seed of Corruption, stick some dots on that son of a bitch and then detonate it. And it detonates so much faster. Okay, you can put normal Seed of Corruptions on other targets. That's fine if you're doing some mass AoE. But whichever one gets the big Seed of Corruption, which is Soul Burned, like that, that's going to need some dots to go along with it, so it detonates nice and quickly, and that gets the corruptions ticking on it. Now, what we're doing is we're actually watching for Nightfall procs while we're doing this, and we're just going to be sticking all our dots on various targets, and then keep ticking away. Bear in mind that the Nightfall proc can only occur from your most recent corruption. Okay? It's not like it used to be, which is it can proc from any tick of corruption. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's very, very simple. It only ticks from your latest corruption. Your latest corruption is the only one that can do it. So don't be under the impression that if you get corruption ticking on 50 targets that you're going to be flooded in soul shards. Just doesn't work that way anymore. Very simple stuff. All we're doing with our AoE is make sure that we at least keep corruption ticking via a soul burn Seed of Corruption, and then use our Nightfall procs in between time to just slap some more dots on everything and spam Seed of Corruption in the middle. Very easy stuff with the AoE, guys, alright? Affliction seems easy to play. Watch the gameplay video that's coming along with this. It's on my channel, and that is going to show you how we make these decisions in combat. Alright, guys? Have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.